Today, today we are trying to speak something about the organization development. So, good evening to everybody who are listening to my talk. So, let us start with the definition of organization development. So, that is what the topic which we are planning to talk about today. So, from the word, it is very clear that there are two terms in that: organization and development. So from the word itself, it is very clear that it talks something about some kind of a changes in the organization, some kind of a development is happening in the organization. So what exactly or how exactly that is possible? So you can say that it is not just like that you're trying to bring about a change. It's not that possible. Some kind of an planning is required. And we generally say that this kind of a development aspects, we try to bring it in the organizations as an intervention. The sense like some kind of a planned process it is like. So it can be defined as a science-based process, means some kind of a scientific way it has been done in a very planned, very systematic way it has been done. And why exactly we are doing this? It is for some kind of an effectiveness that helps the organizations to achieve the growth or the goal of the organization. So what are the things which is required to bring about things? You have to think about changing the strategies, changing the structures, some kind of a process. So all these things, when you concentrate on that or you trying to strengthen these things which I explained now, that will lead to the growth of the organization. So you can define the organization development as a scientific based process which is useful for the effectiveness and helps the organizations to change by strengthening strategy, structure, and process leading to the growth or goal of the organization. So that is the best way by which you can define the word organization development. So when we look into this organization development, so what way or what are the features or how exactly you can bring about? So definitely when you talk about the organization development, so it is like involvement of the organization, definitely the support of the top level management is very, very important. And it is not like for a few groups or a few department, it is like, see, it is very clearly mentioned, it is about the organization development. So it is this kind of a development activities is for the organization as a whole. And it is, as I said before, it is a planned intervention. It is not that suddenly you think that, okay, some kind of a changes, I can bring it and I'm going ahead with it. No, it is not like that. It is, that is what from the process which I'm going to explain after a few minutes. So there you will understand that it is really a planned intervention. And it is, as I explained some before, it is this kind of an activities we are doing it to increase the health or the organizational health and the effectiveness of the organization. So now we can define the word organization development as a it's a planned effort to increase the organization's relevance and the viability, or it can be explained as it is applied behavioral science focused on understanding and managing the organizational change and as a field of scientific study and inquiry. So here everywhere we are saying trying to focus on the scientific way of doing, or in a very systematic way or very planned way, this kind of an activities which is being done in the organization. So now let us try to look into it, how exactly the organization development can be brought about in the organization. So for that, there is, you can explain it as a process, the organization development process. And generally it is being explained with using 7 phases or 7 steps by which that is possible. So organization development strategies can be explained using 5 phases to design and implement the developmental activity. So it can be said as entry level, the diagnostic level, the feedback level, the solution level, and the evaluation level. So 5 phases through which we can explain this OD process. So by which you can say that the developmental activities can be brought about. So this process can be used by OD practitioners or with the support of OD practitioners to design and implement the organizational development strategies, and with these the 5 phases or the 5 steps which I've explained now. So who is this OD practitioner? So they are the people. There can be an OD practitioner from within the organization, you call it as internal OD practitioner, or it can be somebody from outside, you call it as external OD practitioners. So you can't say that whether internally is good or externally is good. That cannot be said. It all based on the what kind of an organizations and what is that is being expected. Because a person from outside may be able to identify the problem, or maybe able to collect the data in a little more systematic manner, or he'll be able to find out that yes, these are because he or she is somebody coming from outside, will be able to view the things in a proper manner and can bring about changes in the organization. But a person who is within the organization will be able to interact with the people, or maybe already know something about the problems, and he will be able to diagnose it in a little more better way. So that is what different ways by which this internal and external practitioners can be looked at. So you can say that advantages and disadvantages are there both in within the practitioners from within the organization or outside. But whatever it is, like here we are trying to see that how exactly the entry level, how exactly these problems within the organization is being identified, and the developmental activities can be included, and how exactly we can through this particular process the goal can be achieved, or the progress can be achieved by the organization. So the first level is the entry level. So here it is like exploring the problems, the opportunities, or the situations, and the output is an engagement contract or the project plans with the expectations and the agreement on scope. So the entry level is the first level where exactly you find that there is a contact between the consultant and the client. So it is like a consultant is the COD practitioners, and then the organization itself, and so they'll have to have an interaction. Then they have to look into it, that what way or how exactly the problem is going to be identified, or what are the means by which they are going ahead. So some kind of a contract where it can be in terms of the money, or the time period in which they are going to do it, or how much is how much time is being required to, or what kind of a data will be collected from the employees, or all those things will be discussed, and it will be dealt with between these two parties before they start with this process. That is what this first phase we call it as an entry level, or the entry phase. And the next one is the diagnosis. So that this phase is the fact finding phase, where you try to collect the data, or try to identify that what exactly the problem is. So you can say that it is a collaborative data gathering process. You can say why, because it is not that, there should be a support from every individuals or the people who are there in the organization, so that you can collect the data in a proper manner. So between the organization stakeholders and the consultants, so there should be quite a good rapport should be there, so that the data can be collected without any hesitations. So in which the relevant information about the presenting the problem is gathered, analyzed, and reviewed. So that is what the second phase, we call it as a diagnosis. So once it has been the data has been collected, it has been reviewed. So then what is that you have to inform to the organizations, or to the people, or to the employees in the organization, that see, this is what the data which I've collected, or this is what the problem which I've identified. What do you feel about that? So do you feel that whatever it has been collected, is there any other explanation which you want to give it related to that? So that is what you call it as the third phase, which is the feedback phase, where it represents the return of analyzed informations to the client, or the other people who are there in the organization. So exploring of the informations for understanding, clarity, accuracy, or the review of whatever they have found out. So those kind of things will be happening at this the third level. You call it as the feedback level, or the feedback phase. So the output of this phase actually is typically an action plan that outlines the changes, the change solutions. Because so there is some kind of a problem which you have identified at the entry level, or maybe during the time of diagnosis times, the problem is there will be more of clarity because of the collection of data and analyzing things. And then here you are giving the feedback to the people. So that is what the third phase is, that we define the success indicators based on the information and data. So here the feedback which has been given to the employees, and then more discussion will happen, and they try to focus into one particular area, or where exactly the real problem is that. So that will be through feedback process, the things will help, more of a clarity will be there related to it. So the next phase is the solution phase, where it represents the design, development, and the implementation of the solutions, or set of solution. You can say it is meant to correct the problems, or you can say that it is for closing the gaps, or for improving or enhancing the organizational performance and the effectiveness, or you can say that for uh, capturing some kind of or seizing some opportunities which is not very clear till this particular point of time. So that is what the solution is all about. So what is that? The first is that entry level, where you try to have a contract between the client and the OD practitioner. The second phase is the diagnosis. So whatever the I mean, based on the contract, they try to collect the data and then try to analyze it, and some kind of a findings has been come related to that, and then based on that is what the feedback which is begin again. During the feedback time also there will be a lot of discussions, and then they try to review it, they try to narrow it down, or try to what you call rectify, or not rectify exactly. They try to narrow it down, or they try to make it very the more clarity will be brought into at the feedback phase, and then they come to the solution. So based on the feedback which has been collected from the people or from the analysis all put together, the solution will be put. So that is a time in which the real interventions or the real the solution which they have identified, or the problems, the solutions to the problems will be implemented in the organization. So output may include it can be a communication plan, a role and responsibility matrix, a training plan, it can be, or a training curriculums, because that is what been expected by the employees, because the problem is mainly related to some kind of a training. So that has been identified, and it can be, so that has been found out through this kind of a process, or it can be some kind of an evaluation plan, risk management plan, or a change management plan. So something related to that, a solution has been identified, and then it will be implemented in the organizations, and then later you try to see to that whether whatever is been identified and whatever it has been implemented, whether it is the right track or not. So you call it as the last phase, the evaluation phase. So there again you collect the formative and summative evaluation data to determine whether the initiative that which they have found out is been it is targeted towards the goal, or it is moving towards the goal. And in case if they find that something is going wrong, again the process has to go ahead, because that is not the right problem. So again they have to find out that what exactly the problem is, and then again for that again the data has to be collected, feedback has to be given, and then try to find the solution. So outputs generally include an evaluation report with recommendation for the continuous improvement. So this is what the OD process is all about. Once again, in in nutshell, I can say that it starts with an entry process and end with an evaluation process. You start with E and end with E. So the entry process is that we are entering into a contract where exactly you're trying to some kind of a problem is there. So in order to solve this problems, or is it really that is a problem? So all these things will be, based on this problem, the dealing is being done between the two parties, and then based on this the fact finding process is the second step, or the next level. You call it as a diagnosis, and then the feedback is given, and then based on that the feedback, they try to come up with the solution related to it, and then based on that it will be implemented in the organizations, and the evaluation is being done. So that is what in if you talk about the organization process, this is what is something which is we have to understand about. Thank you.